different colors. So look at my little garden here. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm so excited to show you this video. This is older footage, so it's not shot in my most recent skill set. We'll just put it that way. So everything is a hyperlapse. My apologies for your eyes, but if you want to learn how to make this, you will easily be able to see. I'm using a tip number 127, and I am using the dead center of my rotating cakes to create the perfect circle shape. You can see I even painted it black so I could have a perfect center. And I'm creating the best way I can describe it is creating square shaped petals. So I'm not ruffling, I am doing short strokes, and it creates the perfect zinnia. And what I did with my paint was I let one color kind of bleed into the next, because I used to work on a farm, and one of the things that I love so much about the zinnias that we had, it was a flower farm, by the way. It doesn't get any better than that. And what struck me was kind of how the corals and the greens would kind of have a blended color effect, I guess, and it was really, really cool, and I loved it. So at this flower farm where I worked, I loved it so much, and we would carry our zinnias in buckets like after we'd cut them. So I wanted to recreate that with this painting, and I love it so much. I think it's just the coolest. So what I had to do was create flowers that would be on the bottom and then flowers that would be raised up. So that was pretty challenging. I didn't know how exactly I was going to recreate that. So I took some little wooden dowels and I used some little foam pieces that I had, and I glued them together with the Gaffrey paint because it does act as a wonderful glue. And it took me a while to kind of figure out exactly how I was going to make it work, but eventually I got them to stick together and I was able to create this. So for the centers, I just used a very, very small round tip, and I just piped a whole bunch of little dots. When I had finished doing the dots, I went in with a paintbrush and I did the shading. So here you can see how I'm clipping some of the dowels so that they'll be shorter. I then coated them with some yellow, and then later I coated them with a green so that they could look more stem-like instead of wood-like. I've made a bunch of different colors. So look at my little garden here. And I'm gonna add some centers. Probably tomorrow. I have a fan turned onto these, so they should be drying up quite a bit overnight. I'll add centers and then they can dry while we are in Dubrovnik, and I'll come back home and I'll put them on a canvas. Here's what the flowers look like with centers, and at this point I'm planning to go in and add some shading to the centers just to make them more dimensional. At this point I started going in with green and attaching each of these to the back, and I created on my zinnias that were going to be the tallest. I chose, of course, my fanciest ones, my best ones from the batch. And I had to put the foam on the back, otherwise there was no way to keep them up high and flat while they dry. So I used a heavy texture paint to lay down the first coat, and then I started sticking the dry flowers into the wet paint. I really love how this painting turned out, but I will say that as a wall hanging decoration, this is not very practical because the wood dowels and the flowers themselves are so heavy, they kind of weigh down and then they kind of hang to the side or hang to the bottom. So it doesn't look the best. Now, no one has ever told me that they just love the painting or the sculptural artwork. And this is very much something that bothers me. So I would not recreate this probably from a professional standpoint. However, I did really enjoy creating this, and I hope you guys loved it, and I will see you guys later.